Hi guys, hello, welcome to my channel. I am literally so excited. Today's video is gonna be a really chill, just like chatty one because I've got a couple of announcements to make. First thing on the agenda is we are officially starting a book club and I cannot wait. I'm a little nervous just because I don't know what I'm doing, but it's something that I've been like going back and forth on for a while now, and I just got to the point where I was like, I just need to do it. So we're just doing, and we're gonna figure it out along the way. And I wrote a bunch of notes because I want to make sure that I, tell you guys all the needed information and things like that. So first and foremost, when it comes to this book club, actually, first and foremost, I do officially have a name for it. I actually posted on my community tab a couple of weeks ago, I think, asking you guys for name suggestions and also book suggestions for our first month, which will be starting May 1st. And you guys actually did give me a lot of like really good book suggestions, of which I have put in this little jar. And at the end of this video, we are going to be pulling some of these for our options for the month, which I'll talk more about again later of how that's going to work. But first, again, the first thing about our club is the name of our book club. Hi guys, it's future Jensen. This is actually the following day after I originally filmed the first half of this video, and I have already decided to change the name of the book club. I decided to go with Midnight Readers Book Club. Obviously, you don't have to be a midnight reader to join the book club, but for me personally, it fits really well because 99% of my reading I do at night when I go to bed, and I feel like my nighttime reading routine has really helped a lot with like my mental health and just kind of like sleeping better and things like that. So it's kind of like significant to me and important for me. That's the updated name for the book club, the Midnight Readers. Moving on. The other big kind of thing that I wanted to mention about the book club specifically is that it is going to be 100% free. I went back and forth for a really long time on whether or not I should do Patreon, and I like the idea of that, but I don't know, I like the idea of everyone being able to join more. But I am gonna kind of still structure the book club as if I had a Patreon. So basically, I'm gonna be hosting the book club on Fable because I really love Fable's like interface, like how they kind of structure their book clubs. If you've never used Fable before, essentially when you sign up for a book club or you do like a buddy read or something like that, which is actually what I've previously used it for, they organize the books by chapter. So you kind of have all of the chapters listed out and you can click into them and you can see all of like the thoughts and spoilers and quotes that other people either in the buddy read or in the book club have left. So I love how like interactive it is, but I also, because of how it's structured, everyone within the book club can kind of read at their own pace because you have to actually click into the chapter to see the spoilers. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use Fable as kind of our home base, if you will, for the book club. But then also on YouTube, I kind of wanna supplement that and do extra content as if I was doing it for Patreon. So basically my idea is to have like a couple of extra videos every month just for our book club. I mean, everyone's gonna be able to see it, even people that aren't in the book club, but I wanted to make some special like book club extra videos, if that makes sense. As of right now, I'm kind of thinking I'll probably do like 2 videos. So one of them is gonna be us picking the books together, and then I'll probably announce the winner both in Fable and then also on the community tab. I don't think I'll make a whole video just for that because that video would be like 2 seconds long. And then I also want to do a like full spoiler reading vlog for the book as well. And I will title all of the videos like book club reading vlog or book club book choices or something like that. And I'm kind of thinking, just to kind of like help keep myself organized, if we can keep the book suggestions for the next month within those videos, like the comments of those videos, that would be really helpful. And also again, like feel free to give me as many book suggestions as you would like. Like if there's a book or 5 books that you really want to read, let me know and I'll put them in to the next month's jar. Moving on, what is the next thing on the agenda to talk about? Voting. I'm gonna write down some of the book suggestions that you guys give me, put them in a jar along with some of my own book suggestions, and just pull 4 every single month. And those are gonna be the options that are then going to be made into a poll to put on Fable, and then you guys will have the final decision on what we end up reading. And then the last thing that I have to say about the book club before we move on to the shop is I do plan on being very, very active within the Fable book club. The biggest downfall, if you will, for me with like the YouTube channel is a lot of like reading vlogs, people prefer them to be spoiler free. But the fun for me is being able to like really gush about a book. I want to talk about plot. I want to talk about the ins and outs of the romance. I want to talk about, the things that are shocking to me, like my theories, all those kinds of things. So I definitely urge you guys to be as active as you're comfortable with within the book club as well. Like put your thoughts, put your quotes, respond to other people. Like I want this to be super interactive. I want us to all be chatting about the book. That being said, I do want this to be like a nice open space for people to feel safe and to just have fun. So like, let's not be mean in the comments and things like that. I don't think that you guys will, because literally literally everyone that I've like interacted with so far with this channel has always been like super, super sweet. So I'm not really worried at all about people being mean, but like, just throwing it out there. Now moving on to the opening of our little art shop, which again is going to be called Bucky. We have kind of like a unofficial mascot for the shop, which is where the name came from, but it does have kind of a little bit more of a meaning than just Bucky, which here's Bucky, by the way. This is a beaver that I drew a while back for no particular reason. I just thought it was cute and I named it Bucky because it's a beaver. Aside from that, when it came to naming the shop, I decided to go with Bucky because it kind of just fit like my art style. I have a really cartoony type of art style. I use bright colors. I draw animals with like gigantic eyes, and they typically, like 90% of the time, will have teeth. Whether the animal actually has teeth or not in real life, I give them teeth because I think it's funny. So I thought Bucky was kind of a fun name because usually also the teeth are like these big, huge chompers. So I thought Bucky was a fun name. And then also it's not too like specific for anything in particular, because not only do I plan to do art with, again, like bookmarks and stickers and things like that, but I also want to be able to incorporate other things that I like as well, like other hobbies, specifically thrifting / like antiquing. I love a good vintage item. I love thrifting for vintage clothes, vintage decor. I literally actually just thrifted this, hold on. This is actually one of my most recent thrift finds. It's like a unicorn brass bell, and his little unicorn horn is kind of wonky and melted, but I just thought it was so cool. So yeah, I love thrifting, but I don't necessarily have the space for all the cool things that I find. So I thought every once in a while I could like throw something in the shop. So there's kind of that. I also just kind of have like general, like bigger art projects in the back of my mind that I've had there for a while that I would like to kind of like work on. Specifically like a coloring book maybe at some point. And I really love the idea. Actually, the thing that kind of got me into doing art in the first place was tarot. I have so many tarot and oracle decks, and I think it'd be so cool to create my own. And I do have a few cards that I've made like a long time ago, but I haven't worked on that in a really long time, like literally 2 years at least. So I want to kind of start working on that again. All of that being said, I do actually have kind of like a theme going into this first launch to kind of give you an idea of some of the stuff to expect. So as far as like the bookmarks and stickers go, I definitely have kind of like a plant and disco ball kind of theme. Here's a couple of the illustrations that I'm going to be making like products out of. And then also again, we kind of have that tarot project that I want to start working on again. So I am going to start incorporating those drawings that I've already done and then start making some new ones. And the very first one I ever did was the Fool card, which is the first card in the major arcana of a tarot deck. Originally, I was gonna like sell prints and things like that, but I don't know if you guys are interested in that, so let me know. But aside from that, I do already actually have keychains that I had made a while back, and I just never did anything with them. And then also just in the future, I would love to do things like potentially blind dates with books, crystals, just anything else. If you guys have any suggestions for specific things that you'd like to see, let me know. And then now I think last but not least for our bookshop information, we do have an official opening day. I'm so nervous to like officially put the date out there because then I have to like really do it, you know what I mean? But it needs to be done because again, this is another thing that I just have been like sitting on for so long. I keep going back and forth on whether or not I should do it, and we just need to do it. So the official launch day of our shop is going to be May 30th. But before we even get to the 30th, starting the 1st of May, so actually the same day that we're starting our book club, I'm going to be starting a series on my art Instagram. So go ahead and follow that if you are interested in following along with my art shop opening journey. I'm going to be starting a Can I Start an Art Shop in 30 Days series. So every single day from the 1st to the 30th, I'm going to be posting a short form video, just kind of documenting what I'm doing that day in preparation to open the shop. And with that, the very last thing that we have to do for this video is do our official first book club pick for our books. And for this month in particular, we are only going to be picking 2 from our jar because 2 books are going to be automatically added to our poll regardless of what happens in this jar, because there were a couple of books that seemed to pop up just generally on my channel recently, but also within that community post that I had posted a couple of weeks ago. So one of them is going to be Anathema by Carrie Lake. I feel like I butchered that name, but this is actually a book that I've had on my wish list for quite some time. So I got really excited when a few of you specifically mentioned this book in that community tab post. But then also The Games Gods Play. A couple of you also mentioned that in the community tab post, but then also just generally, I feel like I've been hearing a lot of really good things about that book recently. So that is also going to be an immediate option as well. So now we just have to pick our extra 2, our 3rd and 4th choice. And I'm gonna go with this one. I'm like so nervous, but really excited. Ooh, okay, this is actually one that I personally added to the jar. This is Summer in the City. This is actually a new book by Alex Astor, who wrote Lightlark series, but this one is just a regular romance, whereas her other series is a fantasy romance. And I'm really curious because I liked that series, so I'm excited to kind of like see what else she has in store for us. But then also too, on like an aesthetics level, I actually just saw her book in the bookstore and it was so cute, so I kind of want to add it to my collection. Now let's go ahead and pick our last and final option for our poll. And we're gonna go with this one. Oh, this is Games Gods Play. That's already gonna be on there. So that even more is like meant to be. We're gonna do this one. Ooh, okay, this is actually another one that I personally added to the list. This is Zodiac Academy. My camera battery died yesterday, so I couldn't finish filming yesterday, but we're back today to finish up this video. Basically, I just want to go through and read the synopses of each of the books that are going to be options for our first book club poll. I am so excited. And I did actually spend the morning like setting up the book club, so we're officially like live. And again, I will have that linked down below to go ahead and join. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go over the books so that you can make a more informed decision on what we're going to be reading. So the first one I'm going to go over is Anathema. So this one says it's a spellbinding gothic dark fantasy about a shunned woman who is forced beyond the mortal realm's forbidden boundary into a terrifying world of cursed souls and grotesque creatures. Ooh, that sounds so intriguing. That actually kind of reminds me of, what is that book called? It's like Shadows, something about shadows. I'll put it over here. And although I didn't like love that book, I do feel like it had really cool, unique creatures in it. Like it had these like zombie-esque, like it's a fantasy romance, but it had like these zombie type creatures, and I thought that was really unique and cool. And this is kind of giving me that same type of vibe. Maybe not like the zombie specific thing, but the grotesque creatures. I'm very intrigued. So continuing on, it says, only the banished know what lies beyond the woods. There are whispers about what lurks in Witchnell, the forest where sinners go to die. The villagers call it the Eating Woods because what's taken is never given back. Only those who've lost their senses would dare to go near it, or the banished. That reminds me very much of One Dark Window. One Dark Window has like a mist that these infected people get like sent into and they like never return. I don't know why this book is reminding me of so many other things. Anyway, I'm probably gonna butcher the name of this character, but I think it's Mavith. Bronzewick knows better than to breach the misty labyrinth of trees, but a tragic turn of events compels her beyond the archway of bones to a boundary no mortal has crossed before, one that cloaks a dark and fantastical world that's as dangerous as it is alluring. It's there that he dwells, the cursed lord of Eidolon, the one tasked to keep her hidden from the magehood that seeks to crucify her in the name of an arcane prophecy. Ugh, another name I'm gonna butcher. Zavander Ryden, known to his prey as the Scorpion, is the coldest, most calculated assassin in all of Ethria. This book is gonna kill me with the names. And he'd sooner toss his feisty ward to a pack of vicious fear drakes than keep her safe. If only he could. Mavith's blood is the key to breaking his despised curse and vanquishing the slumbering evil in Witchnell. Unfortunately for Lord Raiden, fate has other plans for the irresistible little enchantress, and his growing obsession with her threatens to destroy everything, including himself. I love the idea of that. This sounds so good. So there is our first option. And then the other one that we were automatically going to be adding to our polls was The Games Gods Play. This one is by Abigail Owen. And yeah, I've said this yesterday, but I've been seeing so many people talk highly of this recently. So I'm very intrigued by this one. So this one says, the gods love to play with us mere mortals, and every 100 years we let them. I have never been favored by the gods, far from it, thanks to Zeus. Living as a cursed office clerk for the Order of Thieves, I just keep my head down and hope the capricious beings who rule from Olympus won't notice me. Not an easy feat, given San Francisco is Zeus's patron city, and I make do. I survive, until the night I tangle with a different god, the worst god, Hades. Not gonna lie, it just kind of lost me with like the very modern sounding vibe of this, but then it like wrapped me right back in with Hades. I absolutely love, especially when it is actually fantasy, I love like a Lord of the Underworld, a Prince of Darkness kind of character. For the first time ever, the ruthless mercurial king of the underworld has entered the crucible, the deadly contest the gods hold to determine a new ruler to sit on the throne of Olympus. But instead of fighting their own battles, the gods name mortals to compete in their stead. And now we have a tournament. which is, I feel like we all know by now, one of my absolute favorite things. So why in the underworld did Hades choose me, a sarcastic nobody with a curse on her shoulders, as his champion? And why does my heart trip every time he says I'm his? I don't know if I'm a pawn, bait, or something else entirely to this dangerously tempting god. How can I when he has more secrets than stars in the sky? Because Hades is playing his own rules and death will win at any cost. This sounds so good. The next book that we have is our first pick from the jar, which was Summer in the City. And this one is gonna have a very different vibe than the last two books, because this one is just a plain like a romance novel, and I do believe it's like a romance in the city, in New York specifically. 27-year-old screenwriter Elle has the chance of a lifetime to write a big budget movie set in New York City. The only problem, she's had writer's block for months and her screenplay is due at the end of the summer. In a desperate attempt at inspiration, Elle ends up back in the city she swore she would never return to, in an apartment she could never afford. It's the perfect place to write her screenplay, until she realizes her new neighbor is tech billionaire bachelor Parker Warren, her stairwell hookup from 2 years ago. It's been a lovers to enemies situation ever since. When seeing him again turns into a full night of hate-fueled writing, Elle realizes her enemy / twisted muse might just be the key to finishing her screenplay, if she can stand being around her polar opposite. And then it goes on a little bit more to talk about the fact that he needs a fake relationship, and obviously she needs to write her screenplay. So this is gonna basically be a lovers to enemies, back to lovers, with also fake dating involved. So this sounds like it's gonna be really cute and fun. And now last but not least, we have our Zodiac Academy pick. And I don't think I really talked about this yesterday. I think my camera died like right as I was showing you the little paper, but basically I purchased the first book in this series, which is a series of 12. But ever since I started this channel, I've heard so many good things about this series, and they are being published with like new covers. So I got the first one kind of recently and I've been really intrigued to get started with it. So maybe this will be the pick. Either way though, let's go ahead and find out what it's about, because honestly, I don't really know. So this one says, I'm a Gemini, impulsive, curious, headstrong, a twin, heir to a throne I know nothing about, and it turns out I'm Fae. But of course there's a catch. All I have to do to claim my birthright is prove that I'm the most powerful supernatural in the whole of Solaria. And sure, technically that's true, as I'm the daughter of the Savage King, but the bit they didn't put in the brochure was that every single Fae in this kingdom would claim my throne if they could. I don't know why, but from reading like the first bit, the I'm a Gemini, impulsive, curious, headstrong, yada yada yada, I was assuming like Prince. I thought that was gonna be the male character, but it's the female character. Also, I have no idea if these are romances or if it's just fantasy. I just read ahead a little bit on accident-ish. And I do think it's gonna be a romance. Actually, at the top it says best-selling dark fantasy romance series. So it is a fantasy romance, but also I just saw Dragon Shifter at the very end of this. So if you've been around for a little bit, I've been talking about the fact that I've been wanting to read a Dragon Shifter romance for like the longest time. I did finally read one, but who knew this was a hidden one this entire time. But anyway, it says, the school they've sent me to is both dangerous as shit and one hell of a party. Vampires bite weaker students in the corridors. The werewolf pack has orgies in the Wailing Wood at every full moon, and don't even get me started on the dark and twisted ways the sirens use their powers on people's emotions. Classes are totally interesting if you manage to live through them, and the Gemini star sign I mentioned, it now determines my elemental magic and affects my destiny, so learning astrology is essential if I'm going to beat down my classmates, which is actively encouraged, by the way. My biggest problem is the drool-worthy Dragon Shifter who has his eyes set on my throne. He and his 3 psycho friends are determined to make my time here hell. All I've got to do is survive, but fate might have other ideas. Damn it, why couldn't I have gotten a letter to Hogwarts? This literally sounds so fun. You guys, I think we have a really good lineup of book options. I don't want to like sway you in any particular way, so I'm not going to say which one that I'm kind of like hoping we get, but I am very, very excited to see which one you guys end up picking. And with that, I think that's everything that I have for this video. I think because I'm like sitting down for a second time to film, I feel like I need to say more, but I think we've got everything covered. If you guys have any questions about the book club, about the art shop, about, I don't know, anything in general, go ahead and leave them in the comments. And again, I will have everything linked down below. The book club, the art shop, Instagram, my book Instagram. I think that's everything that I have to say. I hope you guys have / have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye.